have Frank here. Frank, I believe you're leading this course next year, right? This competition next year?
Yeah, that's correct. I'll be the first chair for the state of Pennsylvania. Looking forward to that.
Yep, looking forward to. So what's that mean this year? Is it a lot of like shadowing and being a part of every single step of this? So what does the first chair do for next year?
The first chair, I was in charge of a lot of the events outside, so a lot of the coordination and following through, and just how deep they pay attention to every little piece of detail to make this such a great event. So it's just awesome. So just following in some of the footsteps with that.
And you're following Bob, right?
I will be in Bob Dolan's shoes. I hope I can fill those shoes next year. So.
Now, have you competed before, or do you come from just the celebratory side?
I did compete. I started in 2003, was Rookie of the Year at Pennsylvania. So in fact, Bob Dolan was competing that year, and I got to compete for the next couple years before I went into a safety role. But it was quite interesting, and it's probably the one aspect of driving that I completely missed, to be able to participate, just the camaraderie with all the drivers.
Oh yeah. Well, and honestly, I mean, even Bob, some of the people I've been talking with, there's a lot of people still competed that you guys competed with before, right? Do you have any names you want to shout out, or do you see some of them out here, right?
There's a lot of legends out here that I saw. I saw Brian Smeltzer out there kick off the PA TDC.
Points too.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Coming out in the rain and everything going, but truly a competitor. He won that year that I was there, so completely remember that, as a rookie, and try to strive to be like those guys. Just appreciate what those guys do every day out on the roadway, keeping our family safe. That's what it's about, being here.
And so what company are you representing as not just the PMTA head, but representing and driving for in the past?
I work with FedEx Freight. So FedEx Freight I do. So I've been with them for 25 years and been in the role of safety for 16. So been at many TDCs.
Oh, yeah.
So, and fortunately, an opportunity is on the NTDC committee. I'm actually the course chair.
Okay.
At the National. So
wow.
Learn a lot of ideas and stuff like that. So tell those guys to beware out there.
Well, and I was talking with one of the drivers that might do it next year, and he's like, I know that there's a list of all the different types of obstacles that could possibly be, and of course the measurements that are involved in all of this, but you sort of have that sort of an eye on what that list is?
Oh, there's a list, and everyone's always looking for newer ideas. I've seen some crazy things. I saw one of the states, they actually had an overhead wire stop.
Wow.
With a measurement on the front of the trailer. So pretty impressed with that. And I've seen some new maneuvers out here going around that duck and that barricade, and seems to confuse a few folks coming in there.
It is, and I'm still seeing, like it's the steer axle for the ducks right here, and then it's the back, the last tire at the end for going around the corner. But again, a lot of this is being able to remember the rules and then follow it while you're nerves in the truck. Were you a nerves of steel type of person, or?
No, you get up in that truck sometimes and you forget, like, what the heck is this course about? And you're like, what is the problem? And unfortunately, you see some drivers drive by and they miss a problem, and it's just the nerves. But I think it's about the competition, about all the drivers there, and just the camaraderie. I mean, it's a great aspect coming back. Dale Knox, who's here and running the bullpen, he was in my class also, and he was a comedian in there. So, and as a former national champion, tried to set my nerves, but didn't do a good job, made me more nervous. But it was a lot of fun, always a lot of fun.
And so, you becoming first chair, taking over the event, what's if you're wanting to get involved and sort of eventually wanting to maybe lead this event, how do you get involved, and how do you move your way up to something like this role?
I think being involved, going to the PMTA, getting in with the SMC, getting in a lot of the, that's kind of where like all the companies, the hats come off, and we're all in it for the same business, making our highways safe and getting to know everybody, and just the friendships, built, and then getting involved at TDCs, and started as a driver eventually, but eventually as a volunteer, and then eventually the more involved the opportunities arose, and here I will be next year.
And then is it like a yearly thing, or like you could potentially lead it for a while, or do you have shoes behind you following up?
There's some shoes behind me that are filled from that. So you come on board really as a third chair. You're kind of in the background, but then a second, first, and then eventually you chair it. So you're taking it all in, a lot of learning opportunities for it, and just try to continue to make it a great event as it always has been.
What does it take to be able to win multiple times. So you've got like a lot of the old hats that are out here winning back to back in different classes, because you can only win it so many times before trying something else and then going back to it. But what does it take to, coming back each year to be able to perform well each year?
I think the first is the commitment to safety. I mean, just getting to the state level, going a year accident free.
Yeah,
that says it a lot right there.
Just
driving on the roadways nowadays. And I think the commitment, once you come to this party, I call it whatever you want to call it, state, you're kind of hooked, and more people come back. And then that's where you get to know people. You see what happened, and you know that these folks are putting in the practice, year end. It's not, you're going to study a half hour or a couple days before the event. You're putting some time into practice.
Yeah, Brian was mentioning that he was, on a weekend, he'll spend 10 hours out there on the course with a few other drivers, just all day working the courses.
Oh, and it's nice. You get to see a lot of the competitors. They show up at the other states. They always look for tidbits.
Oh, yeah.
Things that they can learn from. So it's a lot of good to see folks like that.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you for, of course, putting your time and commitment involved in all of this. Thank you, FedEx Freight. Good luck to all the drivers out here, and good luck next year leading the whole thing.
I'll see you next year.